Rob Burnham, aka Preacher Man R&B, and this is another episode of Retro Line Comics. This time I'm doing another episode of comic book reviews. This time I'm reviewing Cable issue 20. And what happens in this comic, it starts off with us thinking Cable's dead, and Scott's kind of freaking out because his son's laying there dead and he can't get him to respond to him or nothing like that. So what happens is we find out Cable's actually alive, and they are trying to figure out what's going on in the past because the story is about the past X-Men and the future X-Men. And Legion is in the past, and he's about to do something that would destroy the timeline altogether. So the future versions of the X-Men, which is Cable, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, all of them, Domino, all of them that we're focusing on in this comic, is trying to do something or go back to the past to be able to stop Legion. And this comic is them getting ready to do that, and we see them throughout this comic trying to get back to the past. And Professor X is able to link into Cable's mind, that way he can get to a message to Bishop to stop Legion and stop what he's doing. And he's able to connect with Bishop, but he doesn't know if it's going to work. So let's see what happens with that. And then Gambit and Cable is getting kind of hostile with Gambit and Cable is getting kind of hostile with each other. And they start arguing, and looks like they're about to fight, and Rhodes about to try to jump in, but Domino stops her. And it's this whole thing, so Scott has to use his I-beams to stop the fight. And then there's a holographic message from the Queen of the Shi'ar Empire. And then we jump to Beast, and he's trying to figure stuff out, and Angel comes to talk to him because Angel is having kind of trouble in his life, and he wants the advice of Beast to be able to help him with that. So they do that, and then we see Gambit and Rogue talking a little bit, and then Cable and Domino off talking, separating from the fight that they almost had, trying to calm down. And then we see that Jean Grey and Scott are talking, and then they talk to Professor X about what's going on and stuff. And we find out some backstory that Jean and Scott went to the future and actually raised Cable as his foster parents. That way he could have a family, and he knew about this all along, but he was waiting on them to tell him this, and they wound up telling him that. And he thanks them for that. And then him and Domino go off and have a little conversation, and they it gets kind of heated, if you can see right there. I can't really say much because the stepson's right there. But anyway, then we see them getting ready to go to the past, it looks like, and it's this whole thing. They're getting ready to go and deal with Legion. And then we see them actually traveling to the past, and that's where the comic ends. My rating for this comic is probably going to be an 8 out of 10. It was a pretty good read. As always, Rob Burnham, aka Preacher Man R&B, signing out. Guys, GG is awesome. It's been another episode of Retro Line Comics. See y'all next time.